so Will is asking the 200-600 or the 70-300 or 70-200. So Will, when we talked about this before, my preference would be a lens that has a little bit more versatility. The 200-600 is, purely hyperfocal. So you can only capture things that are very, very far away. Now, so me personally, I would go for either the 70-200 or the 70-300. I would get the 70-200, and this is because they often have a fixed aperture. You can get the f2.8 version or the f4 version. So I would get the 70-200. That's me personally. You can use this lens for so much stuff. And I think it's better than the 70-300 because they usually have that variable aperture. But the 70-200 is more expensive, right? So, it comes down to a couple of different things. Hi, Katie. How are you? Good morning, good morning, good morning. The 60D is a great camera for beginners. And Naki is asking, how do I start this business? What do I do first? Naki, please go to my website. I have a checklist for building your own business. Let me pull it up. It's totally free. It is totally free. It's a PDF and you can download it right from my website. And my website is linked in my bio. So let's look at that checklist together, guys. Oh, my computer is having a hard time. There we go. Okay, thank you guys for asking questions and being patient while we work through all of the questions, right? I want to move this over here. Hold on, I got to move stuff around. I'm streaming from my computer again today because that seems to give me the best connection speeds. But what's really great about that is I'm able to share my screen with you guys. And we love that. So this is a free download on my website, Building Your Business Checklist. And we start from the top where we are determining our brand, determining our name, getting a portfolio, color scheme and fonts for our website, logos. Then I would like you to create a website. Then you're going to go forward making your business legal. This isn't going to happen until you have developed that portfolio and you are building a client base, you're accepting paid work. So this is a really, really good resource for people who are just starting out. Again, free, download it on my website. And it has so many steps in the process of building your website that you might not think about when you're first getting started, like building a blogging schedule or making a referral program or a marketing program. So go download this. And then also, if you have more questions, let me know where exactly you are in your process of building your business. And then we can work on specific things, right? Yeah, so Will is right. So if you decide to go with the 70-200, Will, then you decide, do you need the f2.8 or the f4? So I would go for the f2.8 if you are needing low light situations, sunset or just the sunrise. And then it just goes down to budget, really. I mean, the 2.8 lens is going to be generally built better, but Okay, Olive is asking, have I ever had to update the firmware on any of my lenses? And the answer is yes, and I highly suggest that you do the same. I have had to update the firmware on one of my lenses. I only have, oh my gosh, I have three Z mount lenses now, which is so crazy. I feel very fortunate. I've got the 85 millimeter, the 105 millimeter, and then the 24-70. And I haven't had to update the firmware on all of them, but I did on 1 or 2 of them, and it's very, very simple. I should make a video about this. You guys are always constantly reminding me how behind schedule I am. That's not my idea list. Where's my idea list? Where's my idea list? Here it is. Firmware updates. So yes, all you have to do is go to your, so you can Google Sony 24-70 firmware update, Nikon 50 millimeter update. You know, Google your lens. It will take you basically right to Canon's website or Nikon's website or whatever. And then you go through a little list of the lenses, and it will tell you, excuse me, it will tell you the latest firmware number, right? Then you go into your camera's menu settings and look at what current firmware version is on your lens. And if you find that the one your camera is telling you that you currently have is outdated, you basically just need to plug a memory card into your computer. You download the firmware from Canon's website or Nikon or Sony's website onto your memory card. You put the memory card in your camera, and it's very simple. Hi Collins, I don't have any camera giveaways going on right now, but hopefully soon. Horizon is asking about the Tamron 18-300. Is it okay? So generally, when you see a lens that has this crazy amount of versatility, 18 millimeters, so that's extremely wide angle, all the way through to 300 millimeters, which is a hyperfocal length. Generally, these are, budget-friendly lenses. They're not the best quality when they go all the way from wide angle to hyperfocal. Not saying you shouldn't get it, but the drawbacks of this lens, the major one is going to be the variable aperture. So your aperture you will be forced to use a closed aperture as you zoom into the 300 range. I'm not saying you shouldn't purchase that lens. I'm not saying it's not a good lens. It's a very, very, very versatile lens. It's going to have drawbacks when you are wanting to shoot in low light or when you're wanting a really shallow depth of field, meaning a very blurry background. Alexis is asking, do you have to make a certain amount of money before you can create your business legally? No, you don't. So my business structure is an LLC. That's what works best for me with my taxes and all of that. You can make an LLC when you are not making any money yet at all. So you can make an LLC at any point in your business journey. Now, a tax specialist will tell you to do this sooner rather than later. You don't want to be making tens of thousands of dollars just being paid on Venmo, Oh, thank you, Olive. I'm so glad that helps with the firmware. Hello, Donk. How you doing? How are things on the other side of the pond? And hello to Ming. And we have Paul asking a very important question, which is, what are metering modes? We get this question a lot in our lives. So Paul, I'm going to break down the metering modes for you, my friend, but I just want to let you know that in case you forget or you want to revisit this information later, I have an entire playlist on my TikTok channel called Metering Modes / White Balance, I think. And you can go through that playlist and watch the video lessons on metering modes at any time, okay? So let's dive in. Cameras have a few different metering modes. What they are called all depends on what kind of camera you have. So the sort of so what is a metering mode? Well, your camera's main job is to gather light, pull in light from your lens into your camera's sensor, and then take a picture. And when your camera, you have options on where your camera looks at the light that's in front of you. So, when you are in auto mode, or when you just very first get your camera is going to be in like the auto of metering modes, which on a Nikon, this is called matrix. Is it called matrix or evaluative? I always get these backwards. Hold on. On a Nikon, it is called matrix. On a Canon, it is called evaluative. And what is it called on a Sony? On a Sony, it's called multi-pattern. So let's look. This is a really good image. We are going to thank f-stoppers. One moment, let me download this image, and then we can look at what it is. Thank you guys for being here. Thanks for asking questions. Just give me a little bit of time to answer everybody's questions. I'm going to try to go in order. So here we go. Let me share my screen with you. So here are metering modes. So like I said, Nikon is matrix, Sony is multi-pattern, and then Canon is called evaluative. I don't know why it looks like this, because this isn't a proper representation. But what this means, this very first metering mode, means that your camera is going to look at the light in the entire frame, every single part of the frame. So this is not a good metering mode to be in when you have a lot of different strong lighting things happening in your image. So if you are taking an image at sunset or next to a window, and there's lots of bright light behind your subject, that's going to make your subject quite dark. And your camera, when it's in evaluative or matrix metering mode, is going to have a really hard time with that very bright light in the back and then that very dark subject, finding the balance between the two. So your image is almost always going to be underexposed. Why? Because primarily your camera is seeing tons of bright light. So it's going to try and bring the exposure way down, but that's going to make your subject way too dark because they are already underexposed. So that is the first metering mode. Sometimes I feel like people are asking me this question to like troll me. So I hope you're actually interested in this. It's like the hardest thing in photography to explain. So that's why I'm like, why do I get asked this so much? Maybe it's the hardest thing in photography to understand. So what we want to do is we want to get off of evaluative or matrix or multi-metering modes, because we don't often want everything in our camera's frame to be properly exposed. Usually there's just one part of your frame that you want to have perfect exposure, which is the person or the subject, the animal, whatever it is. So then looking at the next metering mode here, we have this one right in the middle, which is called, well, actually it's this one over here on the right, which is center weighted metering. And it's called center weighted across every brand. So Nikon, Sony, Canon, it's all called center weighted. And what that means is your camera is going to look through your lens, but instead of measuring all of the light that's coming through the entire frame, it's Donk, you little, I see you in the comments. Instead of measuring all the light that's in the frame and trying to get a perfect exposure for everything, it's only going to look right in the center of the frame. So when you have your subject right in the middle of the frame, this is an excellent metering mode to use, because your camera is basically going to have like tunnel vision, and it's going to say, okay, I only want to look at the light in the middle of this frame and I want to get perfect exposure on that. So that is center weighted metering. And then the last option is spot metering. I don't think every camera has spot metering actually. Many do. And this allows you to control exactly where your where your camera looks at the light through the lens. So if you have follow-up questions on that, please let me know, but also check out the playlist. It's really, really helpful. Patchwork just got their very first camera. It's not super fancy, but that's okay. They are a beginner and they are learning, and that is so exciting, Patchwork. And please let me know if there's anything that I can help you with. Favorite things is asking best budget tools that I recommend for a beginner. Okay, best budget tools that I recommend for a beginner. A reflector, which is like $10, $15, something like that. I have the one that I use linked on my Amazon, which is on my website or linked on my profile. And that's it. A 50 millimeter lens. I would recommend to stop using the kit lens as soon as you are able to financially. So probably a little bit of a lens upgrade and a reflector. And of course you've got to have your memory card and things like that, but yeah. So if you aren't making a lot of money yet with an LLC, will the taxes prevent you from making any profit? Alexis wants to know. And also says, I'm not sure if you have to make a certain threshold before paying taxes. So Alexis, this is a really loaded question because number one, it depends on if you have any income. Okay. Depends on if you have any income aside from your photography income. So for example, I had a full-time job in finance when I moved here to New Jersey, and I was making about $65,000 a year. My husband works for the Navy, and so our combined income already had us at like 22% tax, right? Now, if I take, let's say I started doing my clients here and all of that, and I was making an additional $60,000, that would put us above 22%. So if you already have dual income or a full-time income and you're going to supplement it with photography, then yes, you will have to pay taxes on all of the money that you make from your photography business as well as your full-time job, because this puts you, it's all considered income. Now, let's say you don't have any income, or maybe your partner has income and you don't. So then you might be in a lower tax bracket. There's a lot going on with this question, right? And then it also depends on your location as well, like what state you're in, and things like that. So, but if you are just an individual, you're unmarried and you don't have any income right now, then you are correct. Okay, my aunt was just texting me. Let's say you don't have any income right now, then there is a tax threshold. I don't know what the tax threshold is right now. I would guess that it's like, I don't know, 12 or 15,000. That's a total guess. Whereas, so that would mean that if you make less than that much money per year, you do not need to file a federal tax report. You don't need to file your federal taxes. But I don't know if that number is correct, and I highly doubt that you don't have any income at all. So everyone's situation is very, very different. Okie dokie artichoke. Lala, hello to you. And just a girl named something followed me. So thank you for following me. Oh, you're welcome, Paul. Yes, I'm so glad you were genuinely curious. Sometimes I just feel like people are asking me that to give me a hard time sometimes. I don't know why I feel that way. It's just like this weird thing that I've got going on. But I hope that's helpful. Let me know if you have more questions, and I'd be happy to dive into that further. Alicia is asking, can you tell me where to get a cheaper camera like a Sony a7S? Absolutely, Alicia. I highly recommend you look at used gear. You can buy used gear from super reputable sources. Highly inspected, comes with a warranty. My favorite place, 90% of my camera gear I bought used, so I saved some money for sure. On my website, which is nancysmiley.com, it's linked right on my TikTok profile. Right there on the home page of my website, I have a link to where I buy all of my gear at a discount because it is used. So go check that out. They have used gear in all different types of price ranges, like excellent, like new, and fair conditions, so you can get them for more and more discounts. Hannah is asking if I can do Lightroom editing tutorial. For sure, Hannah. I'm so sorry. I skipped your question and went to Alicia's question. My apologies, Hannah. Let me know what exactly you want to see in Lightroom, and we can do that today. And Katie is recommending my courses because she's a sweet angel. Thank you, Katie. The Nifty 50 was the best day of my life. Dude, for sure. I remember that day, Ash. I'm right there with you. I would recommend that you get a 50mm lens next, Madison. Congrats on your Canon R50. That's very exciting. And Hannah, you can find all of my courses on my website, nancysmiley.com, but I want to mention there's a little yellow Service Plus button right down here. And if you are interested in taking my courses, if you enter your email address right there, I can send you a 10% off coupon code after the live is over. Desiree just purchased the 2470 for the Rebel T7. That's an amazing, versatile lens. Congratulations. I have no thoughts other than that's going to be very exciting. You can capture so much with that lens. The silver and black Nikon right here, this is a Nikon ZFC. It's a mirrorless lens. It's a crop sensor. This is for Jackie. Hi, Jackie. I have a link. You can purchase this used as well on that link that I have on the home page of my website. You're so welcome, Alexis. I'm glad that income conversation made sense. Photography income is a big topic, and it's different for everyone. Queen of her crown, how you doing, my dear? Patchwork, you've been here for a week straight. Sweet angel, you're so amazing. Hannah's asking what I think about the 24-105 lens. So this lens, it's probably the f4. This is a pretty good lens. It has a fixed aperture. So what that means is when you zoom in and out, it doesn't force you to close your aperture, which is really, really important. This is a pretty good lens. It's very versatile. I would not like using this lens because it doesn't go below f4, but that's because I am a toxic person who just likes to stay in f2 range. No, not toxic, but I really like having a lot of background separation, and I just really like opening up my aperture. But this is a great lens because of that fixed aperture. When you see a fixed aperture, you know that it's a lens of a certain quality. Lala's asking if I do one-on-ones. I do have coaching sessions online, but I do want to be completely transparent with everyone here. If you are looking to get assistance in your photography journey, get some education, get some lessons, understand focus, understand how to get the exposure triangle right, understand how to do Lightroom, I really recommend you take a course before you schedule a one-on-one with me, because one-on-ones are an hour long. I would love to have a one-on-one session. It's a video call, you and me, I would love it, but it's expensive. And my course is 6 weeks worth of knowledge that will answer, I promise you, any question or photography frustration you're having. And I can tell you so much more in my course than I can tell you in a 1-hour session. And I'm not trying to get you to buy my course or anything. I just want to make sure you're getting the most bang for your buck, right? Rachel is saying that with golden hour, I hate having too much haze, but I love the bokeh or the bokeh. What f-stop for sun backlighting? So there's no magic f-stop, Rachel. You can use f2, you can use f5.6. It all just depends on how close you are to your subject, how many people are in your frame. There's a lot of things that go into this, right? However, to avoid haze, you need to change your lens angle a little bit. I also love that bokeh. I love those sun flares. But when it gets too hazy, where all of the colors just look really desaturated, you can combat this a lot by using the dehaze slider in Lightroom. But if you want to just avoid it completely, Travis, thank you for these roses. You're so sweet. Thank you. If you want to avoid that haze completely, though, you just have to slightly adjust your lens angle. So you got to play with it a little bit before you start shooting. Play around with your lens, sort of angle it downward, angle it more to the right or left, find that sweet spot. Because see, so bokeh is from having your aperture wide open. Bokeh represents the background blur. This comes from having a wide open aperture. This does not cause haze. So I think there's two things going on, Rachel, that we need to work on with that. So let me know if you have follow-up questions on that. Travis, you also sent me like hearts and things. Thank you, Travis. I can do a tutorial in Lightroom. Please let me know what you guys want to see and we will work on that. My website is nancysmiley.com. That's my first and last name, and it's right on my TikTok page. It's linked right there for you. The Sony a6400 is a great as a great camera for learning. Absolutely. And everybody, please, you can check out my Amazon storefront as well. I have my favorite mirrorless cameras referenced, my favorite crop frames, my favorite lenses, flashes, memory cards, all of that. I don't ever use ND filters, no. You know what's so funny, Rachel? I just had a photographer ask me that in person the other day. Oh, and I want to say hi to Sandro over in Portugal, my darling dear. Hello there. So I actually had somebody come up to me the other day. I volunteer at my son's swim club to take pictures of the swim team, and there's another photographer there, and he is doing his first wedding on the beach. And he came up to me and he was like, hey, have you ever done photos on the beach? And I was like, Tom, my photography was based out of San Diego for 5 years. All I did was sessions on the beach. And he was like, oh, thank God. Do you think I need an ND filter? And I said, absolutely not. I said, expose for your subject and bring back the sky details in Lightroom. That's my suggestion. A lot of photographers do the opposite these days. They expose for the sky, which completely underexposes their subject, and they bring the exposure on their subject up in Lightroom. That's not my jam. I don't like doing that. Oh, Katie, you're so sweet. People have told me that before, that I look like Jennifer Garner. I appreciate you. You're so kind. Okay, Zscape wants to talk about color grading in Lightroom. So let's go ahead and dive in for that. Susie, I would recommend a 35mm next for that Rebel T7. It's going to let you get a little bit more in the frame. Thank you so much, Rachel. You're so kind. I appreciate you. Okay. Sunset Cliffs, Evie, where did you live in San Diego? I lived in Spring Valley, so a little bit more inland, like La Mesa area, but I always drove to Torrey Pines, La Jolla area. I worked for UC San Diego, so that was my favorite area. All right, we're gonna dive into Lightroom now, you guys, so I'm gonna be sharing my screen, but before we dive in, I want you to all go download my Lightroom, what is it called? My Lightroom checklist. So what this is it gives you a beginning to end process. It is the steps that I take in Lightroom in my own workflow. And it's on my website, nancysmiley.com, and it is free. It's full free. And this is what we're going to work off of. Every time I'm editing an image in Lightroom, I have my, well, not so much anymore, but I have my workflow open. So what this looks like, let me show you. This is the front page, Lightroom Unlocked checklist. We talk about importing, we talk about exporting, and then I give you my workflow, exactly what I do in order for every picture. So you can go download this for free, and then you can read about my Lightroom course if you would like. But so go download that, because we're going to be working off of that, because Hannah said like a beginner process for Lightroom, and this would be perfect for my beginners in Lightroom. Now, let me open up Lightroom and find some images that we can play with. What is the best lens for the Nikon Z30? Alia, it depends on what you take photos of, my friend. Mount Miguel, oh, very cool. Happily Heather, that's awesome. San Diego there too. I don't have one-on-one online courses. If you do join one of my courses, whether it is the Lightroom course, the Mastering Manual Mode Photography course, Evie, are you a military wife as well? Sorry, I got distracted. If you join one of my courses, you get access to the student community, and you can ask any questions that you have in the student community, and I will be happy to help you. You can share your images, all kinds of stuff. My website is nancysmiley.com. That's where all of my resources are. I'm going to put text on it's right here, guys. This is my website. I can't keep it here for too long because I get a violation on TikTok Live, but this is my name, and it's also linked on my TikTok profile. So it's right at the top, nancysmiley.com. That's so cool, Evie. My husband is currently in the Navy. So that's awesome. That's really great. And let me just show you guys my website because lots of people are asking. So really quick, you guys, this is my website here, right up here at the top. You can see nancysmiley.com. And if you come to freebies, this is where all of my free guides are. And you can download all of these for free. And if you come up here to resources, this is where my courses are. So you can read all about these courses. You can come into the Mastering Manual Mode course. I break down every single thing that we learn about, exactly what's inside the course, and I even talk about what is in the curriculum, before and after images from some of my students, FAQs, lots of stuff. So please go check out my website. It would just make my day. Oh, 1 second. My son just got home from swim. Hi, Clark. How was swim?
Good.
Yay.
Are you on live again?
I am on live right now, yeah.
Good. You're always on live.
I do. I try to go live every day. So how about you get a snack and then,
Already on it.
okay, you got it. Make sure you change out of your wet clothes though, okay?
Okay.
Okay. Katie is a student of mine. She's always hyping up my courses. Thank you, Katie. You're so sweet. Alia's asking about prom, graduation, beach photo shoot. I would recommend a good old 50mm lens. Because you're using a crop frame camera, Alia, it's going to look like an 85mm lens, which is just fabulous for these types of photos. All right, guys, so I'm in Lightroom now. I'm just going to go through my image library and look for an image that is unedited that we can play with. So give me 1 second. Ooh, give me 1 second. I should try to find one that is like, is this a virtual copy? This is a virtual copy. Let me go into the develop module. Oops. And let me reset all of these settings. Okay, yeah, this is pretty good. It's a JPEG though. Do you guys care if it's a JPEG? And then I also just want to point out that while we are in Lightroom editing, I can't always see the comments. Andy, thank you for sending these cool gifts. I appreciate you. Andy's asking my favorite lens for the Nikon Z7 II. For portraits of like one person, it's the 105. For portraits of two people, the 85. And if I'm doing like a family session in a really beautiful area on the beach, something like that, I like to use a 35. Or you can just use like a 24-70, but my favorite are the prime lenses for sure. You could definitely use the 24-70 for all of those examples, Alia. So instead of doing a prime lens, you could get the 24-70. It doesn't have the aperture doesn't go as wide as the prime lens, but it's really not that big of a deal. I prefer prime lenses, but that's totally personal preference. Okay, so we are going to play around in Lightroom. My screen is only so big, so I do have to shrink this down quite a bit, y'all. But just, you know, just bear with me, friends. Just bear with me, okay? Here we are in Lightroom. So I am out here doing my best. Let me go like this. Okay. This is what we're going to work with. So this is a photo of my daughter. This is completely unedited. Just to show you, this was the edited version. So I come up to settings and I reset all settings, and here is the unedited version. I'm allergic to JPEG. Oh no. We can work on a couple ones, but for now we'll do this one. Hi Alex, how are you? So remember guys, we're going to be working off of our Lightroom checklist. So when we look at this here, remember you can download this for free, nancysmiley.com. The first steps is adjusting exposure, white balance, and the contrast slider, and then highlights and shadows. So, exposure. Now, in my course, I teach about how to figure out if your exposure is correct or not, as well as your white balance. So, let me actually stop sharing my screen because I need to bring up one more resource. Sorry, guys, hold on. What is that called? Let's hope I can find it. Sorry. White balance, skin tone, something. Where is it? Sorry, hold on. I don't like getting all close like this because then you guys can see my imperfect skin, my melasma. Sadness. Oh, frick, I'm not gonna be able to find it. Okay, hold on, guys. White balance, skin tone. What do I have this saved under? I appreciate your patience. Here it is. I found it. I found it. Okay, this is a resource that is not available for download. It's only on my course, but it tells us red values for skin tones. So my daughter has a light skin tone, so between 82 and 87. So what that means, if you'll notice up here, we have our histogram. And when we put our mouse on our subject's skin tone, we get a red value. So keep an eye up here on the histogram. You see that the R says 70. Now, as I just said, in order for me to know that my daughter's skin tone is correct, I need the red value to be higher, a little bit higher. Now, one important thing about checking the red value is that you want to, oh, thank you so much, Andy. You're so kind talking about me being beautiful. You're so sweet. What am I talking about? You need to check your red values. So I know that this needs to be a little bit warmer. So that's what I'm going to do now. There's a couple ways to perfect your white balance. Number one, you can use the dropper, but you can only use, this is Lightroom Classic. Heaven, great question. You can only use the dropper if you have something in your image that is pure white, pure black, or pure gray. Pure gray is very hard to identify. I don't recommend it. I recommend looking for something pure white or pure black. And when I say pure, I mean it has to be pure. Let me show you what happens if it's not. So let's say I pick up my little dropper tool and I look at this fence. Now, in real life, that was a white fence, but you can see that when I put my dropper on it, this fence is actually blue. It has some blue in it. So what happens if I use my dropper tool? It becomes, oh wait, actually this is pretty good. It's better. It warms it up, but this is actually pretty darn good. I might just stick with this. But we do have some color casting. Look at the orange. Wait, why are we at 200%? We need to be at 100%. Okay. We have some color casting on her cheek here, and we're going to have to pay attention to that later. So I actually do like the dropper tool. I think that actually did a pretty good job. Joey, go download my Building Your Business checklist on my website. Totally free, and it's nancysmiley.com. It's linked on my TikTok. So I think this actually did a pretty good job of the white balance. I mean, so, and perhaps it's because the fence is actually white in real life. But so let's look at so this added a little bit of warmth. Can you see the difference? On the left here is our before, and on the right is the after. I'm going to keep this here for now. Next up on our checklist, I'm not going to change exposure. I'm going to look at contrast. Now, when I say secondary contrast is controlled with the whites and the blacks slider. So let's go ahead and do that. Highlights and shadows. Now, you guys know that if you're a longtime follower of mine, you know, thank you for liking the live, you guys. 17,000 likes. You know that the last thing that I want you to do is just come in here and start sliding these until you like how it looks. That's not what we want to be doing. We do not want to just be making random slider adjustments until it looks good. Okay, one of the best things about my Lightroom course is I'm teaching you how to edit your photo with intention and not doing random slider adjustments. So when I'm adjusting anything in the basic panel, I use my Option key on my Mac right here. I believe on a Windows it's Alt. Whatever is right next to the Control button. I think it's Alt. When you hold Alt or Option, let me show you what happens. So holding down my highlight or my Option key and then adjusting my highlights, I get this secondary view. And now you can see that when I make adjustments here, I get this area that highlights on the screen. That's representing something called clipping. So we do not want clipped areas of our photo. This means that those areas have lost detail and they're sort of just like blobs of color. So I want to adjust the highlights down until that clipping disappears. Hello to you, Tony, over in Arizona. Good to see you. I am from a little town called Blythe, which is right on the border of California and Arizona. Hannah is asking, my Lightroom is not classic. What's the difference? So Hannah, this means that you're using the Lightroom web version, which is not a huge deal. Oh, this isn't what I want. What do I want? I want this. I need to turn off my thing here. The Lightroom web version, you have pretty much all of the same editing capabilities. It's just the tools are going to look a little bit different than the Lightroom Classic that I'm using here. If you pay a subscription to Lightroom, you have access to Lightroom Classic. And the way that you access it is you need to download an app called Creative Cloud. I'll show you guys what it is. Wait, let me do that again. Let me share my screen again. So if you're interested in using Lightroom Classic instead, download this app right here, Creative Cloud. When you do, you're going to get access to, or you're going to be able to see all of Adobe's software. And so this means, Hannah, you're using this right here, Lightroom Web, but if you're paying a monthly subscription, you should also have access to Lightroom Classic. You just need to go download it. Simple as that. Hey, Lewis, thank you so much. Oh, and hello, E, over in Ireland. And Kelly is in Ghana. Good morning. Hello, everybody. So right now, guys, we're focusing on Lightroom. So I'm only going to be answering questions like regarding Lightroom right now. But if you're able to stick around, once we're done with the Lightroom tutorial, we can talk about other, areas of photography. I just ask that everyone who's here, please do me a super solid and go check out my website. This is my website right here, nancysmiley.com. I have lots of free downloadable resources. I have a blog. I have lots of really great tools for beginners, as well as my courses. So let's dive right in back to our editing tutorial. So we have done the highlights so far. So now I will move down to shadows. And again, I'm going to hold that option key. Now I can see as I move my slider, I'm actually not introducing any clipping. So that's great. Do I want this image to be more shadowed and dark, or do I want it to be light and bright? This is a personal preference here. For this image, we're gonna go light and bright. Why not? Oh, thank you, Zscape. You're so sweet. Tony, thank you so much. You're so sweet. You guys are liking and sharing. Next up, we're going to do whites. Again, you guys, always hold down option. You can see that I have clipping. So if I didn't use this tool and I just started here, and if I started bringing my whites up a little bit to make my image brighter, we can see that this is too much. But even just about right here, it's too far. I need to bring my whites down, and get rid of that clipping. And then same with the blacks. If I come to the left here, I'm going to introduce all of this clipping here. Like I said, this means that if you were to post this image online, or more importantly, print it, there would not be any detail in the photo right here. It would just sort of be big blobs of ink. So that's how I would adjust these sliders. And let's look at the before and after. It should be pretty subtle. Here's our before and after so far. We will go over tone curve. And just remember, guys, we're working off of my Lightroom editing checklist. So please go download this. It's free on my website. So now we have the option of texture, clarity, and dehaze, and I'm not going to apply, I'll apply a little bit of clarity, and then we'll do vibrance, saturation, and sharpening. So let's dive in and do those now. So clarity, I'm gonna add just a teensy tiny bit, maybe about 10. I'm not gonna do texture or dehaze, and I'm not going to do saturation. Hey, Crochet Mommy, how are you, my friend? You want to hold down the Option key if you're on a Mac, or the Alt key on a Windows. And 34, clipping means that you are losing detail in certain parts of the image. So if you were to print it, the details in that area of the image would sort of look flat, and it wouldn't be very detailed. If I was using a preset, so if you are using presets, you would apply your preset first and then go through the checklist. But hopefully, if you use my checklist, you don't need to use a preset at all. Okay, so I'm not going to do saturation on this, but I will add a touch of vibrance. Not too much. I do think that classic is my favorite version of Lightroom, yes, over the web or mobile versions. Okay, so that's that. Now, do we want to apply lens corrections? I do not. Do I need to use denoise? I do not. And chromatic aberration, I don't think I'm going to do that either, but we always want to crop our image. Why? So I'm not sure if anyone else has ever had this happen to them, but if you are a beginner, probably. There's lots of people asking questions in the comments. So number one, I appreciate you guys for doing that. Beck E. Bean is asking, how do you view the original next to the edited version? Let me tell you what, y'all, you guys would really, really benefit from my Lightroom course. The first part of my Lightroom course, I give you a tour of Lightroom because there are so many tools in here that you probably don't even know exist. You do that right down here in the bottom right corner, right down here. Oops. This YY is the before and after view. I'm not sure if you can see it because it's because of the comment section. Let me, oops. Oh, I can't, oh, here we go. I could do this, I could do this. It's right here. This right here. Ah! Oh my gosh, sorry guys. This is the before and after button. So, all right guys, hold on. I gotta get my screen back to how it was. There we go. So what was I talking about? Oh, Katie, I just love you so much. Thank you. Cropping, thank you. Oh my God, I love you so much, Brianna. Thank you. Okay, so cropping. This may have happened to some beginners where you go to print your image and the printer automatically cuts off some of the top or some of the bottom of your image or the right or left-hand side. This is because, thank you, Brianna. This is because it's in the wrong aspect ratio for what you are printing. So let's say you're printing a 4:6. You have to make sure you put your image in the correct aspect ratio to print in 4:6. This is something else that I teach you about in the course. So looking at this image here, when you go to crop, here is your aspect ratio. Now the image is going to be in the aspect ratio that your camera was in. I would recommend 4:3 for anyone who doesn't know anything about aspect ratios. 4:3 is a good place to be. Other than that, I don't think I'm going to crop this any further, really. I'm just going to leave it how it is. Okay, great. So now we're going to keep moving through. So that makes us done with the blank canvas. What is the blank canvas? So in my Lightroom course, I talk about how there's like 3 phases of editing. And the first phase is getting your image as perfect as it can be without being a creative edit. So what does that mean? We are trying to get our image to be as if it could have come out of camera that perfect. We're getting the exposure right on. We're perfecting the white balance to a T. We're adding in that contrast. So we are not doing color grading yet. We're not doing tone curves. We're not applying a vignette. We're just getting it as it could have come out of camera if it was a completely perfect image. That is the blank canvas phase. Now, also in my course, I tell you that you should probably create, save a like a snapshot of this section so that if you mess up your creative edit, like if you apply color grading and it looks really bad, you can just do one click right back to this version of the photo right here. So it's really helpful to save a snapshot. Hey Liz, don't worry, you haven't missed a whole lot, but I try to do these lives like every single day during the week, so we can do one again on Monday. Oh, Brianna, thank you. Brianna's another one of my students out here hyping up my courses. Okay, great. So let's move on now to the more exciting parts of editing, which is the creative adjustments. So the first ones that we're going to do are adjustments that affect the entire image still. Then we get into masking and we change only small parts of the image. So first we're going to do the tone curve, color mixing, and color grading, and we can create a black and white copy if we want. So let's close up the basic panel and go into the tone curve. Okay, guys, so in the tone curve, you have this one, which is called the parametric curve. This allows you to just change the curve like as a whole. This one is the point curve, which allows you to create your own points on the curve. Oops. Like this. And then you have a channel for each color. You have the red channel, the green channel, and the blue channel. So I like to generally use the point curve, and sometimes I will create like a matte image by pulling these down. Oops, hang on. There's a part of this I forgot. Right there. So sometimes you can play with your point curve a little bit, and there's a lot of things you can do here. You can create a dark and moody image. You can create like a matte image. You can create a bright and airy image. You can create contrast. Yes, Tony, you would use the syncing feature for sure. That's very, very helpful. So here we go. What do we want to do with this image is the question. Let's reset this. So if you don't know how to use the tone curve at all, the best thing that you can do is at least come in and apply medium contrast, which creates a very subtle S-curve for you. Or you can come in and do strong contrast, which you can see creates a more pronounced S-curve. Thank you for liking the live, Katie. I appreciate you. Andy, right now I haven't been posting my lives anywhere. Someday I'll post them on YouTube, but yeah, I haven't been doing it yet so far. So if you don't do anything else, at least come into the point curve section and apply medium contrast. Another thing that you can do is in the course, I teach you about the C curves to create either light and airy images or, oh, that's too much, or dark and moody images. Let's see. So really the tone curve, there's a lot going on, right? With the tone curve and what exactly you can do. Another thing that I want to point out to you guys is this. See how you have two histograms? So this is your current histogram. This histogram up here changes as you move your highlights, as you move anything, right? So as you make these adjustments, we were at -27. You can see that my histogram is moving. So I am manipulating my histogram. Your tone curve is actually representing your histogram before you made any edits. So it is like your original tone curve. And hello to you, GM Photography over in Taiwan. And so I also want to let you know that this is like a stacked edit. So you can manipulate your shadows, white, blacks, and highlights here in the basic panel. And then if you come into the tone curve, you can see right here, it's telling you this is the shadows, this is the darks, this is the lights, and this is the highlights. Whatever edits you make here are in addition to the edits that you made in the basic panel. And there's many ways to do this. You can use these sliders to sort of create like a darker and moody image by bringing your C curve this way, or the opposite by bringing your C curve over to the right. And then another thing you can do is use the little, this is called the targeted adjustment tool. So if I wanted to change the tone of, let's say the grass here. Now this is just tone. This isn't color. Um, yes, yeah, you can go to Edit, Undo right up here, Lovely Val. Or you can just use the keyboard shortcut, which for me is Command Z, but it would be Control for if you're on a Windows. No, I would recommend doing the basic panel first. And that is following my workflow here. So remember, guys, this is a free download of my Lightroom workflow, and you can go download this on my website. And my website is linked on my TikTok profile. So for today, just to keep things really simple, I'm just going to apply medium contrast, and that's all I'm going to do, actually. So I'm not going to play with the parametric curve on this image today. But, oh, what I was saying is the targeted adjustment tool. So if I wanted to, let's say I wanted to adjust the tone of the grass, but I don't know where that is on the curve. I don't know if the grass is the darks or the lights or the highlights or the shadows. You can bring this over here, hold it down, and then it is going to automatically change that for you. So that's really helpful as well, and I teach about that in my course. Now we come into color mixing. Now my favorite way to do color mixing is not with the HSL sliders. This is like the older version, and the point color tool is like the newer upgraded version. And so I like to use the little dropper tool, and let's say that the grass is just, you know, it's too bright and vibrant and it's taking away from my subject. So by taking a color sample of the grass, I can bring this down and I can make it more yellow and give it like a fall vibe. I wouldn't do that though. I would probably just bring down saturation a little bit, which keeps it green but makes it a less obvious green. So that's always helpful. And then another thing, again, I go into all of this in very, very great detail in my course. I like to use the visualize range. And so this means that if I took a sample of the green and then I enabled visualize range, this is now going to show me everything in the image that's going to be manipulated. And if I want it, so you can see that it's picking up some of the grass over here and things like that. Now let's try, look at her little booger nose. Let me pick up this color right here. So this is actually going to be very, very tricky to get rid of this color casting on her cheek. But you can see that her shirt is sort of casting this orange color up on her cheeks. So I would really want to use visualize range for this. So what I can see now is that I've picked up this peach color. It is going to change the colors of her shirt, her face, her hands, and I think some of the ground here. So what I can do is I can try to limit how much of this it changes by playing with the range here. But this is actually going to be very, very tough to eliminate this completely. Let me turn this off. Okay, so let's see, is this making a difference on her face? It is making a difference on her face, but it's also making a difference on her shirt. But I kind of don't care. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to bring this a little bit to the right. I'm going to bring this a little bit down. I just don't want it to change the color of her shirt too much. Sorry guys, I'm very focused. Let's see. Do I ever use the color channels on portraits? Hey, Brian, are you talking about in the tone curve? That's not bad. So when we zoom in and look at the before and after, It is still on her face, but you can see that it's not as vibrant, but it's still there. But yes, as someone just mentioned a brush. Hi, lovely Val. Yes, you might have missed it. I just answered that. If you go to edit in the top left, you can go to undo right here, or you can press Command Z or Control Z on your keyboard and that will undo as well. Or you could even come into the history panel over here and find whatever it is that you want to undo as well. Okay, so someone also just mentioned a mask. So yes, we could do a mask, but I do that after, that's my last phase of editing. But absolutely, a mask would be a great job. Oh, Val, thank you for the roses. You're so kind. I appreciate you, my dear. Now I wonder if we pick up this color. Oh, it's still going to be on her face. La cucaracha, fa la 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 la. Yeah, still on her face. Okay, I'm going to delete this one. Okay, let's take a break for a minute, come back, and let me look at comments. Thank you guys for hanging out with me and doing some, Lightroom editing. Noodle and Jasmine and Molly and Santa and Andrea all followed me. Thank you for following me. I think I have 28 new followers so far. And Evie shared the live as well. Hey, John. Yeah, the color, I'm trying to get rid of the color cast that's on her face. I have not ever used Adobe Bridge. No. Okay, let's see. Oh, Red Belly, thank you so much. You're so sweet. I appreciate you all. Clipping really makes a big difference in your photo. Absolutely, absolutely. Okay. Point color, yes, point color. Point color is the best. Yeah, so everyone's talking about the masks, brush mask, radial mask. I wouldn't use a radial mask to remove that from her face. I could, but I think the brush is a little bit easier. Masking is the last part of my workflow though. So right now, when I say workflow, I'm talking about this workflow right here. So this is my Lightroom checklist that I offer as a free download. So the first thing that I do is my overall edits to exposure, white balance, contrast, things like that. We forgot sharpening. Then I do my creative edits. So right now we're in phase 2. This is the creative edits that apply sort of the entire image, and then I go into my masking. And I do those more localized edits. So we will do masking also. Thank you, Riley. Thank you so much. Exactly, John. Yes, I could also just do the person mask and go to her clothes. That's also a great point. Araceli, thank you for following me. Sandra, thank you. Yay! Yeah, the checklist as well as so many other free resources are all on my website, nancysmiley.com. So thank you guys for being here. You can go check this out. Yeah, and we will get back into it, I'm thinking. Cool. Let's go back into Lightroom. The baby is still napping, so we are good to keep going live. We will for sure go over masking. Over in Fiji, hello, Joe. Where is Lightroom? Where's my window? Here it is. Okay, rock on. So that's what I am going to do for point color. Remember, guys, this is instructive, right? So how I'm editing this photo for this video, it's probably pretty similar to how I would edit it in general, but I'm also going to go over stuff like going over color grading. Would I really apply color grading to this image? I might not, to be honest, but because we need to learn about color grading, I'm going to go over it. Oh, also we forgot sharpening, but that's okay. We're just going to move on. Okay, so Color grading. So this right here is telling you different options to view your color grading. So this is telling you viewing all three at once: midtones, shadows, and highlights. This allows you to just change shadows, this one midtones, this one highlights, and this is global color grading. Maybe if you're a beginner, global might be the way to go. What this means is that whatever colors you manipulate, it's going to change that color in all of your tones, the highlights, midtones, and shadows. Now, there's a couple of very popular ways to do color grading. The most popular is called split toning, which is where you apply opposite colors to the shadows and the highlights. So looking at the color wheel here, we can see that the opposite of blue is like yellow, and we can see that the opposite of green is the magenta. So for split toning, you would add a little bit of coolness to one thing, either the shadows or the highlights, and then in the opposite, you would come to the opposite color. So we applied coolness to the shadows and warmth to the highlights. And this is very, very subtle. You guys might not be able to see it. You can always see the before and after of an effect by using this little light, this little eyeball here. So I don't think it's going to come through the TikTok screen, but this is before the split toning and this is after. It's very, very subtle. We can make it a little more enhanced so that you guys can see it better. So this is a little bit too far, but now this is the after and this is that before. So that is the effect of split toning. It's very, very popular. And like I said, you're applying opposite colors to the opposite tones. But if you didn't want to do that, we can reset those. We could go into global or shadows. Sometimes I like to just add warmth to shadows. That's one of my favorite things to do on the color grading. Let's go right about here. And I'm just feeling like this image is just a little bit too bright. I'm just gonna bring down the exposure just a little bit and we'll play with it some more later on. Kimberly is asking a great question. Do I recommend shooting in RAW only or RAW and JPEG? I pretty much would never recommend shooting RAW and JPEG. It just takes up so much memory. You have so many images, and I really just don't know the benefit to it. I only suggest shooting in RAW if you are going to be editing your images. And if you're just a beginner and you're not editing your images yet, you definitely want to be in JPEG. And I would say that I would only suggest doing RAW and JPEG if you're like just about to bridge over into editing. So let me drink some water. So I've been sitting at my desk all morning. So if you're a beginner and you've been shooting in JPEG for a couple months now, and you feel like you've really mastered your camera, you've got photography down pat, and you're like, okay, I want to edit my photos now, then I would probably switch into RAW and JPEG for just a little while. That way I'm saving up some files that I can edit later, but I also have the JPEGs in case I don't want to edit them or the editing goes wonky or something like that. But also, this is a JPEG image. This image that we're editing now is a JPEG. So you can edit a JPEG as well. So yeah, I actually have really, really great blogs that I've just been writing these past few weeks on my website, nancysmiley.com. So you can go to my blog. It's a free blog, and I talk all about RAW versus JPEG, which one should you do, what kind of photographer you are, and if it's right for you. How do you know if you have Lightroom Classic versus the web version? I'm not seeing the word Classic anywhere. So you'll know that it's Lightroom Classic because up in the left-hand corner, there's a couple ways that you'll know. Up in the left-hand corner here, you can see it says Lightroom Classic. Also you could go to like File, or you could go to About, it'll say Lightroom Classic. And then also the the icon has a C. So right here you can see this says LRC. So if yours just says LR, you're using the web version. So that's a really great question. Okay, so let's look at our before and after so far. This is what we are working with. Look at her little booger nose. Also, my focus is not very good on this image. But that's okay. We're just practicing. She was swinging very fast, you know, so give yourself some grace. So this, I don't like this color grading. Let me come back in here and bring this down a little bit. It's just a little too intense, a little too yellow. In fact, maybe I'll just move this around. Is my brightness up all the way? It is. Okay. Okay. All right. Sorry. B is asking if my course helps with golden hour settings. Yes, in my manual mode course, Mastering Manual Mode, I have an entire module about lighting, and there's one lesson dedicated to golden hour. Okay, I think I'm going to keep this color grading here. And you can also come down and manipulate the blending and the balance. And I talk about the differences of these in my Lightroom course. But you can also hold down right now I'm holding down the Option key to see the blending as well as balance. So I would recommend that if you're going to use these tools to hold down the Option key as well. Okay. All right. So after color grading, let's look at our lovely little list here. We have transforming and a black and white copy. Do we want a black and white copy? Let's come down here and let's just create a virtual copy so that we can have a black and white copy just in case we want to. So I'm just going to come up into the basic and swap it over to black and white here. I absolutely hate this black and white image. I am going to reset this and I'm going to come into the black and into the white, and I'm going to play with, I'm going to basically dodge and burn this image using the black and white panel here, and I'm using the targeted adjustment tool, and I am coming in and essentially manipulating the tones here. So just by making a few adjustments right here in the black and white curve, this is before and this is after. So I've added in a lot of like tone depth. In the before version, which is this version right here that we're looking at, you can see that a lot of the tones are kind of the same. The swing set is almost the same color as the grass. The sidewalk is pretty much the same color of her hair and her face. So I've added in a little bit more depth. I do all of my editing on my desktop. My laptop computer just can't quite keep up, and it's a little too slow for me. This is a better black and white, but let's move back to our color version. Okay, so now we get into masking. We can clone and heal and remove tool where necessary. So we're gonna have to clean up her booger nose. And then we can add masking and portrait enhancements as well. So let's do the darn thing. And I always hate doing this, but this girl had a snotty nose for about 3 weeks. So we're going to come into the remove tool right up here. We're not using distraction removal. This is their new tool. If any of my students here in the live are already part of my Lightroom course, I did go in and add 2 new lessons about the distraction removal tool. I added a lesson last week about the AI status tool. And one more thing that I forgot. So just keep in mind, if you are one of my Lightroom Classic students, as Lightroom applies updates, I do add more lessons. Okay, so let's come in here and see what we want to do. Forever access. Yes, B, forever access. They do not expire. If they do expire, I would give you tons of notice, and they would only be expiring because I'm making like a new version of it, which I won't do. I will continue to update the new version, the current version. So yeah, you'll have access for forever. Okay, how do we want to best play? Yes, this is true, EJ. Although I don't actually know a lot about it, so I can't answer that in depth right now, but yes, that is true. I have the photography plan from Adobe, and I don't know if I just don't use enough AI features, but I have not seen any charging. And Jazz is asking, yes, Lightroom Classic does look different than the web version. The tools pretty much work the same. Lightroom Classic does allow you to go a little bit more in depth with things like the tone curve and stuff like that, but the tools are there, they just look a little bit different. Okay guys, so when we are using the remove tool, we have regular old remove without generative AI, and then we have the generative AI version. So let's look at remove without AI first. I'm going to go ahead and zoom into 200 here, which I would not usually recommend. Oops, that's not what I meant to do. Okay, go away. Oh my god, what have I done? Hold on. Ah, okay. Here we go. Okay, so I am zoomed in to 200% so that we can look at this very close because you guys are viewing online. However, I would not normally zoom into 200%. So please don't do that because you'll drive yourself crazy. So right now we're looking at the remove tool without generative AI. So how this works, I'm going to look at these little boogers right here. Sorry, everybody. We're looking at boogers. And I do just also want to state that my computer might start getting a little bit slow because I'm doing a lot right now. I have Lightroom open, I have my internet open, and I also have my streaming open as well. So what remove does, you can see that I actually did a really good job. Let's look at the before and after. So this is before and this is after. Now, if we then switch to generative AI, let's do that over on this side with these boogies over here. We're going to turn on our generative AI and we're going to make our little brush a little bit smaller, and we're going to come in and we're going to get rid of these little boogie flakes right here. So now generative AI is asking me if I want to add or subtract from this mask. I don't, so I'm just going to go ahead and click remove. And then Lightroom brings up that little panel there telling you that it's thinking. And now this is their new version. So now I can swap through the different options for the generative AI. And I don't really like any of them. I use a Mac desktop computer. That's what I use. So I'm going to delete this because I don't really love it. Let's try it without the generative. Just to have funsies, you know, we're all here to learn and look at the different capabilities of the remove and healing tools. Now, would I strive to get rid of absolutely every single little booger that she's got going on? Probably not, no. Because number one, when it's all the way zoomed out, we can't really see it. And number two, she had a booger nose, you know, and it's not like I'm sending this into, you know, Old Navy or some type of kids modeling agency or something. So it's not really important for me as a mom to get rid of her booger nose completely. But getting rid of some larger booger flakes, I think that's probably a good idea. And we're going to get rid of some of this, whatever is on her face, probably dirt. And this is a little bit tricky because it's right on the edge of her nose. There we go. So as you can see, I've made all of these edits with just the regular remove. I'm not even using generative AI right now. So it's not always necessary. So just keep in mind, if you are a beginner learning to edit photos, that just because it's there doesn't mean you have to use it. I'm just going in and making little edits here and there. Okay, let's look. So this is after, and that's before, and after. So it is subtle, right? It's subtle. We could even come in with the healing tool now that we've sort of cleaned up all of this big mess and sort of just make like a general swipe. And oh no, that's bad. We want to move this down maybe. And just sort of soften that skin up. You don't have to do that. If you want, you could just make a brush mask and bring down the texture. But zooming out now, that looks pretty darn good, right? Pretty darn good. I would prefer a laptop over an iPad to make edits, Roxy. That would be my preference for sure. Yeah, that's pretty darn good, right, guys? Let's zoom into 100. That was a lot of spot removal though, wasn't it? Yeah, that's pretty good. Let's look at before and after. Sweet Caroline, bum, bum, bum. I should have probably, so I'll probably delete this black and white because it still has all of her boogers, and recopy it, but we don't need to know about that. Now, after looking back at our little checklist that we're following, remember guys, this is a free Lightroom editing checklist, and you can go download it on my website, nancysmiley.com. We're just going to take a little bit of a break, and I'm going to read through some of the comments, and then we will dive back in. But definitely make sure to check out my website, guys. My blog lives there, tons of free downloads. My courses are there, and you can read about all the different things that I can help you with in your photography journey. Now, let me look at some comments here. Madeline says that she just watched all of my histogram videos and it makes a huge difference for her. Are all of your courses sold separately, or do you have to like pay for all of them? So right now my courses are sold separately. I've been thinking about doing like an all-inclusive option where you can just enroll in all of my courses: mastering manual mode, editing, lighting, composition. B, yes, there's a way to avoid this. It's all about that aspect ratio. Yes, you can actually Google. So actually, I've made a video about this specific aspect ratio, I think, for Instagram and for Facebook. It is in my course, but I think I did make a video on it, and it is going to be in my Lightroom playlist. Right now, all of my courses are sold separately. However, when you enroll in mastering manual mode, during checkout, it will give you the option to add on my Lightroom editing course at a discount. So that's always good to know. And then I think even when you purchase the Lightroom course, it gives you a discount option for my upcoming course, which is Digital Declutter in Lightroom Classic, because there's a lot of people who don't know how the catalog works. They get that dreaded little exclamation mark that says that their file can't be found, all of that. So I'm making an organizing course. I'm really behind on it though, but I'm selling it for a discount when you purchase the Lightroom course. Madeline is asking if I have videos on how I edit without a preset. So this entire live tutorial, we have not had a preset on this image at all. So all of my Lightroom videos do not include a preset. And in fact, in my Lightroom course, I barely mention presets, not until the very end. So my Lightroom course teaches you top to bottom Lightroom. So where everything is, how it all works, and how to apply it to your photos. And then at the very end of the course, I teach you how to make your own presets. And it also, wait, it only let you add snapshots to success when you were buying which course, B? I can fix that. Let me know. At the very end of the Lightroom course, I teach you how to create your own presets, and I also give you 5 of my presets for free. Like, you download them in the course. Okay, I'm gonna take a bite of muffin. I would like to do a Photoshop course, but I have a lot on my to-do list right now. So I would love to, I want to, but it's probably like 6 months in the future. My Lightroom Unlocked course is $200, and you have the option of paying once or 3 monthly payments of $75. Yes, Madeline. Everything that I'm showing you right now in Lightroom Classic, you can do in the Lightroom web version with a very few exceptions. But yes, the tools are all there. They look different. We can open up the Lightroom mobile version. I do that a lot during live as well. I don't ever use it, but I kind of show you where the tools are. Sorry, I just ate a bite of muffin. Okay. Lightroom Classic. So it looks overwhelming because the tools look different, but they function the same. I promise you. Okay, so I wanted to see the total for mastering and Lightroom at checkout, but the bonus offer is snapshots to success. Okay, let me look into this, you guys. Let's look at that together right now. Because if so, I can fix that in just a couple of clicks, hopefully. So let's say that you come into my thing here. Oh, you know what it is? You know what it is? I think I know what it is. Hold on. Let's say you want to enroll, and let's say you want to pay in full. Oh, you're right. You know what it is, B? I know what it is. Lightroom Classic is an after purchase. So I would have to purchase this. You don't have to add on snapshots to success. You can just skip that if you don't want it. After you purchase, it gives you the option for Lightroom. And I can tell you how much the discount is. But let me make sure I'm not lying to you first. So hold on. We will get answers. Baby's still napping. Baby's still napping, y'all. We're good. We're good. And we will get back into Lightroom. We're going to use the masks. So just stay tuned, everybody. It's coming. Okay. Let's look at the courses. Let's look at mastering manual mode. And let's look at the bonus offers. Yes, it's a post-purchase offer for $160. So when you're checking out, you have the option to add on snapshots to success. And then after you've purchased, you have the option of also purchasing Lightroom for $160. So in fact, I'll probably raise that price after today. Because my Lightroom course is now $250. You're welcome, B. I won't change this today, but I might increase the price soon. Because it used to be, no, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know, but it's an after purchase, and the sale price is $160. So I'm glad we looked into that, and I will stop saying that now because I've been leading you astray, my dear friends. Okay, How long are the classes in the video? Let's go ahead and look inside my course so that everyone is like, knows, everybody feels informed. I'll show you both the inside of Mastering Manual Mode as well as the inside of the Lightroom course, and then we will get back to editing and using our masking tools. So we're going to look at the course from like a student's point of view. Does anybody care which one we look at first, Lightroom or Mastering Manual Mode? We'll do Lightroom first because that's what we've been focusing on so much during this live. So let me go into the Lightroom course and look at the student view, and then I will let you guys all see as if you are students as well. Here we go. So here is Lightroom Unlocked. Number one, I always encourage everybody to please go into the student community. So looking here, this is module 1. It is like giving you a tour of the, how do I zoom in? I never remember how to zoom in. Oh, Command plus. Okay, I can remember that hopefully. So in the first module, I show you where everything is and I show you my editing workflow. In the second module is where we get that blank canvas. So you will notice, guys, that these steps, exposure, white balance, clarity, vibrance, follows my blank canvas. Exposure, white balance, clarity, vibrance. So I kind of teach you in the same order that I would edit my own photos. And as you can see here, these are the video lengths. So vibrance and saturation is a 4-minute video. Noise reduction is an 8-minute video. Sharpening is a 5-minute video. Let's go ahead and go into, the white balance lesson. So this is a 9-minute lesson. When you open it up here, I'm giving you like a little text of like what we're going through. And then the entire lesson is a recording of my screen explaining to you exactly what white balance is, all of that. And then a lot of the lessons will have a cheat sheet. So in this lesson, I'm teaching you how to know when your white balance is wrong versus right, how to read your image to figure out what the white balance needs to be. And then the download is a little cheat sheet so that when you're editing your own images, you can look at the cheat sheet, look at your image, and make sure your white balance is correct. Again, all of my courses, let me just put my little thing here, nancysmiley.com. So this is where you would purchase, but let's continue to look through the course so everybody feels informed, right? Let me go back to the home page out of that lesson and let's keep going. So blank canvas, we learn about white balance, shadows and highlights, sharpening, noise reduction, how to copy and paste your edits across other images, how to crop and straighten, what lens corrections are, all of that. Then we move into the creative part of things. We learn how to tone curve for tones as well as colors. We learn how to use the color grading tool, how to convert to black and white, how to play with the lens blur. And oh, this is also important. Every section has an FAQ. Every chapter has an FAQ section. So there are certain questions that I get asked a lot. So I have put those questions in here. And then going back here, after that chapter is the chapter on masking. So we have that new AI status tool. We have people masking, object masking, brush tools, gradients, and radials and things like that, how to dodge and burn a black and white image, how to add a sunlight flare, using the distraction removal tool, and then the generative AI. I teach you how to export for print and for social media. And then right down here, I teach you how to create presets, and I give you 5 presets to download. So that is the Lightroom course. Let me go back to my comments. So yeah, each lesson is usually like 5 to 10 minutes usually. There's a couple more that are a little bit more in depth, like For example, remove, clone, heal. That video, that lesson is 18 minutes long because that's a really in-depth tool. But for example, like, oh, color grading is also 15 minutes. You know, there's some lessons where if the tool is a really hefty tool, the lesson is a little bit longer for sure. Okay, cool. We can also look inside of the mastering manual mode. And Madeline's asking an important question. Can we go back into this, or can we only go through the course once? Yes, you can go back through this course as many times as you want. In fact, I have a lot of students who reach out to me and they're like, I picked up a lot on the second time around that I didn't pick up on the first time around, or maybe I did pick it up, but I forgot it, or I didn't understand it the first time around. So yes, you have access to this course. You can come in here every single day if you want to. And then I also want to show you guys inside of the student community. So let's look at that as well. When you come into the course, so now we're looking at mastering manual mode. When you come into the community here, which is what I beg all of you to do, this is where you can come and post questions. You can introduce yourself. You can share your images for feedback. So this is one of my students' images, a macro image. This is one of Brianna's images. She was looking for feedback on this image of her little doggy. So, oops, I clicked on the wrong button. So this is our student community where we look at, this is another one of my students' images. And it's so beautiful. Look at it. It's so beautiful. Go Cheyenne. So anyone who joins any of my courses, you get access to the student community. Now, let's look at the Mastering Manual Mode curriculum really quick for anyone interested, and then we're going to get back to editing our photo. So, Mastering Manual Mode is a big course. It will take you about 6 weeks to complete if you did one lesson every day. The first module is all about the building blocks. So we learn the exposure triangle, we learn what depth of field is, we learn about ISO, and then right after module 1, we start using manual mode. We learn what metering does, how to set custom exposure, how to understand our histogram, the clicks trick. And this course is a little bit different. So for example, let's go into Module 3, we learn how to set white balance with a gray card or with other tools. And then Module 4, let's go into this chapter. So this is the biggest lesson of the entire course. It's 28 minutes long. So again, you come into the lesson and I give you a little breakdown of what we're going to learn. Then you have the actual video lesson. Then a lot of times there's like an over-the-shoulder demo of me using my camera. And then every chapter has huge binder notes. So you could print these out and study them if you really wanted to. You don't have to. There's a cheat sheet in a lot of lessons. And then there's usually homework. Now, homework is not like, you don't have to turn this into me. I'm not going to grade your homework. It's just a way for you to put what you've learned into practice and do it yourself. So we do white balance and RAW versus JPEG. Then we go into sharp photos. We have our natural light chapter about indoor, golden hour, outdoor. This lesson is all about silhouettes, shadows, reflections, and then composition, where we learn about taking photos with intention, all of that. So that's that. We don't need to go any more into that. Let's go back to editing our images. Thank you guys for sharing the live and for following me. I have 38 new followers and we have 29,000 likes. So thank you guys. Let's do the last step in editing, which is our masking. So masking can get very overwhelming for some people. So here is our little masking on our local adjustments toolbar. Let me close this. In fact, why is that even open at all? Solo mode. We want solo mode. Okay, so when you open masking, it can look very, hey, yes, you can buy my course even if you're in Canada or the UK. That's a great question. Thank you. Taryn? Is that how you say your name? It's a cool name. So I want you all to remember that even though there's all of these options, masking does the exact same thing. All it does is it allows you to select one part of your image and edit only that one part. These tools are just allowing you different options of how to select that part of the photo. My website is where you can see my courses. And my website is nancysmiley.com, and it's linked on my TikTok page as well. So again, masking allows you to only apply edits to a specific part of your image. So some of the most popular is either the subject mask or the person mask. Let's do subject. So what this does, you can see that it's detecting it, and now it's red. So what this does is it allows me to only make changes to this part of my photo, the red part. Now let me delete this and show you instead, if I didn't want to include the swing, I would use the people mask. And this allows me to only select her, my subject. It even excludes the swing, okay? Let's cancel this. Another option is the background. So if I wanted to only make changes to the background, let's say I wanted to darken my background, I would choose background, and now you can see as I change my exposure, it's only changing the background, right? So that's what masking does. All it does, and again, it looks scary because there's so many options. All it's doing is giving you different ways of selecting different parts of your image. So we're going to start with the easiest, and that is our people masks. So if you are a people photographer, I highly recommend you use the people mask and you come in and you enhance the eyes, you soften the skin, you can even whiten the teeth if you want. Now, I'm photographing a little baby here. Would I soften her skin? No. She already looks like a porcelain doll. I don't want her to be looking like Barbie in my image, right? I want it to look realistic, right? Madeline is asking, if you add your preset and then use masking, will it erase the preset? No, it doesn't erase the preset. It applies a mask over the preset. I'm curious, Madeline, because you have a lot of questions centered around presets. Are you using your own presets or are you using someone else's presets? And what are they? And what's the effect that they are adding that you really like? Is it like a really warm golden tone? Is it, what presets do you like? Just for a conversational topic. So no, and keep in mind, a lot of presets have masks in them and you don't know that they're there either. So they're warm. So Madeline, you can, so correct, G presets, great. So you could apply that preset at the very beginning of your workflow, tweak it if you want with the contrast, the tone curve, stuff like that. They will probably already have masking in them. So we can look at this later, but to explain it, so not only is it going to have manipulated your tone curve and your color grading and adding in that warmth, there's probably already some radial or gradient masks that exist in it. So when you apply it, if you actually apply the preset and then come up here to mask, there probably will already be some in the image. Hi, Richie Graphics. You've never used masking. Crazy. You would do this after. Masking should always be last. But let me tell you what, Madeline, I think that you should really try to build your own presets, or just try to make your photos warm yourself, but you don't have to. That's just me encouraging you, to always try, always try. Okay, rock on. So let's do some people enhancements, right? So in my course, I teach you how to whiten the teeth, soften the skin, and enhance the eyes. And I'm going to go ahead and do that in this live. Not a good business model, but that's okay. So we're going to click on our person here. Now, when we click on the person, we have options to do the entire person. I don't want to do the entire person. So do I want to do her facial skin? Do I want to do just her body skin? Do I want to do both? So you can choose all of these. Look how crazy she looks. I'm not going to do skin at all because, like I said, her skin is already very soft. I'm going to do her eyes. This is the whites of her eyes. This is her iris and pupil. And I would do teeth, but she doesn't have any teeth showing. So we're just going to create these two masks. Now, you have the option of creating separate ones or or just creating one mask for the entire eye. I suggest two separate masks. Gigi, there's not a sale going on right now, but if you enter your email right down here in this orange Service Plus thing, you can get 10% off. So anyone who fills out that little contact form, I will email you a 10% off code after the live is over. So yeah, okay, baby's still napping. Let's do these masks because I feel like she might wake up soon. So if you're interested in the course and you want 10% off, just enter your little email right down here. Okay, so we're gonna zoom in now so that we can see these masks and what exactly they do. So now we have two masks. This one is her, the whites of her eyes, and this one is her iris and her pupil. So let's start with iris and pupil. You can actually just come to this preset right down here and click on Iris Enhance. Now, you can also then increase or decrease the amount, but you want to be careful with this because it can very quickly look a little weird. So this is without the Iris Enhance. Sorry, it was a little bit slow. So this is before, and that's after. So it's very subtle. Now we can come into the whites of her eyes, and you have a couple options. You can just increase the exposure if you want, or you can increase the whites if you want. And then let's look at the before and after of that. This is, come on, you can do it. There we go. That's before we enhanced the whites of her eyes. And this is after, eventually. There we go. That's after. So we can even just do the whole thing. So this is before we enhanced her eyes, and that's after. And as you can see, it's just a couple of clicks, really. Evie, yes, you can get that 10% off code if you put in your email in that Service Plus orange box on the bottom left of the screen. Great. Okay, so now let's have some fun. Let's add in some fake sunlight. So let's look at another masking option. So now that we already have masks created, our option to add a mask is up here. So we would create new mask, and here's all of our options. Now, when I'm adding in sunlight, I like to either use linear or radial. I usually use radial. I don't know why. You could really use either. This is going to allow you to create a circle where the mask will be applied. So we're going to make it, now the thing about this, you guys, is you really want any type of added sunlight masks to look natural. Now, I have a very trained eye for spotting a phony sunlight mask. And the reason is because anytime you are applying a sunlight flare or anything like that. You need to apply it where the sunlight direction is naturally occurring, right? So if you have an image and like one half of the face is sort of shadowed and it's very obvious that the sunlight is coming from one side, you don't want to put a sunlight on the shadowed side because it looks very unnatural. Now, to an untrained eye, your client's not going to look at the photo and go, why is there fake sunlight on the side of my face? They're not going to know that that's what's happening. But even like your client will be like, something just looks off. And a lot of times you can't identify it, but it's the fake sunlight. So you have to be really careful. Oh, Gigi, it's right down here. So there's like a orange box and it says Service Plus right next to where you type in your comments. And it's a little contact form that gives you the option. Oh, I'm doing the wrong side. Is it on this side? What side is it on? No, it's on this side, right? Is it on this side? I don't know what side it's on. It's on this side. Yeah, it's on this side. Right next to where you type in your comment. What was I talking about? Oh, so I love adding in, hideout. Yes, you can. So when you purchase mastering manual mode, during checkout, you'll have the option to add on my business course. You don't have to. After you check out, you have the option of purchasing my editing course at a discount as well. So there are some bundles that happen during the checkout side or during the checkout process. Thank you, Andy. It's on the left side. So that's this side. Oh, it's a white box. Thank you. That's helpful to know. For me, it's orange. That's so weird. Okay, so masking sunlight. So what you'll do is, getting back into our masks here, I have my radial gradient. And as you can see, I made it like a little half circle up at the top. Yes, if you purchase Mastering Manual Mode, after you check out, like after you've made the purchase, you have the option to adding on Lightroom at a discount. The Lightroom course at a discount of $160. So to add in fake sunlight, so actually let's delete this for a minute and let's look at where the natural sun is coming in. I mean, really, it's the middle of the day, so it's pretty much on the top of her head. Taryn, I love it. So yeah, it might be coming from the right here, but I think it's generally on the top of her head. You can also always kind of figure it out because you can see where the shadows are. So if the shadow was on this side of her face, is this 100%? This just, golly, that's just so zoomed in. If there was a lot of shadowing on this side of her face, we would know that the sun is setting and it's sort of on the side here. But the shadows are falling sort of under her eyes and things. We can identify that the sun is up here at the top. So going back in, you can add the radial gradient, or like I said, linear. And the difference is radial is a circle and linear is a line. So then we just very gently increase our exposure, and you can see the top of the photo sort of getting lighter up there, right? You see that? And then if you want, I would also even make it a little bit warmer, and that gives it. Britt is liking the live like crazy. Britt, my girl, thank you so much. So when you make this warmer, you get that really strong sunlight vibe. And then if you want, you can come in and you can oops, wrong one. You can make this bigger if you want, but I don't want it to go on her hair. You see how it's making her hair very bright? Although I could just make this one smaller. So there we go. Let's look at before and after. So this is with the sunlight, and this is without. And all you have to do to click on one mask at a time, you just click into that mask. So this is taking us back to her iris and pupil. This is taking us to the radial gradient, and etc. Now let's play around a little bit. The brush, wait, let me zoom in first. The brush allows you to paint a certain part of the image where you want to make edits. So we could make our brush very big or very small. Also, I just want to say thank you so much. Thank you to everyone who's interested in my courses. Thank you to everyone who's asking questions. Thank you to all of my existing students for entrusting me to, why isn't it showing me my overlay? Entrusting me to teach you photography. I mean, I just feel super lucky that you guys are here, and you guys are really humbling me, showing so much interest in my course. I really did put a lot of energy into it. I continue to update the courses as needed, and yeah, I'm just thankful. I'm feeling a little emotional today. I don't know. Okay, and also Lightroom is like bothering me because it's not showing me my brush mask. So what the frick is going on here? Oops. Why isn't it showing me my brush? This should be getting red. Why isn't it getting red? What am I doing? Have I lost my mind? Let me delete it. Let me do it again. Let me delete this. I don't know what this is. Delete that. Okay. Let's try this again. Brush. Show my overlay, please. Why isn't it showing me my overlay? Okay, this is really gonna annoy me. I don't know what's going on. It might be a glitch. My computer might be slowing down or something. I'm trying to paint over her face here. Let's like manipulate it and see if we can see the change. Oh no, it is. It's changing. That's really weird. I don't know why it's not showing me the overlay. Oh well, we'll just go with it. So right now I've lifted the shadows on the bottom of her cheeks here. This is before. And then this is after. Yeah, my computer's getting a little bit slow. It's important to know that the more masks you use, the slower your computer will be. So be careful with that. It has been a little bit glitchy. Yeah, I would. Oh, hey, Crunchwrap, how you doing? I would suggest anybody who's having troubles with Lightroom, make sure that you have the latest update downloaded. Oh my God, are you kidding? No, I swear it was checked. It was checked. I don't know why it's not popping up. I have a brush all right here, and it's not showing. I don't know what's going on. Even if I change it to blue, so bizarre. Oh my gosh, I'm such an idiot, you guys. I know why. It's because of my, I think it's because of my feather. Hold on, let me put it back to red. And then, no, I don't think that's it either. I don't know what's going on. It doesn't matter though. It's not important. Okay, so yes, if you're having troubles lately with Lightroom getting a little glitchy on you, I would suggest making sure you have the latest one downloaded. Because they just did some updates with the AI tools, and so that might be what's making it a little glitchy for you. I think it's getting a little glitchy for me too. But again, that's because I'm running a lot of software right now. I'm running OBS, so this is my streaming tool, and then I'm also running my internet so that I can see your guys' comments, and I'm also running Lightroom, so there is a lot going on right now. But anyways, guys, that is us. We have just gone through our entire Lightroom workflow. So again, this is that free download on my website. And I highly recommend that you go check out my website. Again, it's nancysmiley.com. And if you're interested in, well, actually, if you are interested in all my courses are I need to fix this. Coaching sessions. Here's my Amazon gear recommendations. Here's the website where I buy all of my gear. There's an amazing blog, if I do say so myself. Lots of free downloads. You can come up to the freebies section. You will see all of the free tools and resources that I have for you guys. Building your business, manual mode settings, child poses, Lightroom checklist. And then if you're interested in my courses, on the resources page, this is all of my paid resources. So we have 200 prompts. We have the Lightroom course, the business course, all that jazz. And this is my website right here, my name, nancysmiley.com. Sweet. And if you want to enroll in a course, please put your email in right down here in the Service Plus contact form, and I will email you a 10% off code after the live. Okay. Do you have any discounts for upgrading to Lightroom Classic? What do you mean, Andy? Do you mean the software? Oh, we have somebody being mean in the comments. Somebody said, ew, whose baby is that? Yeah, my name is Nancy Smiley. Yes, my last name is Smiley. You're so welcome, Hideout. No problemo. No problemo. We can stop talking about Lightroom now and jump into any other photography related questions people have. Thank you. It's my married name. So yeah, totally crazy, right? That's my real name. So Andy, you pay for the Lightroom subscription, but apparently it doesn't include Classic. Are you positive? Have you checked? Because, oh, thanks, Donk. You're so sweet. I know a lot of people tell me that. They're like, your name totally suits you. On the desktop, a different service. So everybody who's asking this question, what I want you to do is I want you to go into your computer, go to your like app store or your Play Store or whatever it is, right? And download this app right here, Creative Cloud. So this is Lightroom's like software for this is Lightroom's like hub, right? So when I open up Creative Cloud, I can see all of the apps that Lightroom has. And then if you come here to apps in your plan, you can see, oh, look, I need to update my Photoshop. These are all of the apps that I have. Oh yeah, there's 2 updates. And I have Lightroom Classic, and blah, 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 blah. But what I would suggest actually is just to stay in the all apps. How did I do that? I would stay in the shortcuts panel, and you should just have to click on this and download it. Let's go to like Lightroom's website. Let's look at their photography or at their subscription plans. Really quick, let me pull up their website. Let's get together, yeah, yeah, yeah. I wanna get together, oh yeah. I don't know any discounts for Lightroom, no. Let's see. $10 a month. Okay, so looking at the website here, so you can see right here, if you pay for this right here, Lightroom, You have access to both, my friends. You just need to download it. Sorry, let me move this over. So, and then if you pay for the photography plan, which is what I pay for, you have Lightroom and Photoshop both. You have Lightroom Classic, you have Photoshop Desktop, Photoshop iPad, Lightroom Mobile, Lightroom Web, and Adobe Portfolio. But if you are paying $10 a month or $12 a month for just the Lightroom, everybody has access to Lightroom Classic is the answer, really. If you're paying a subscription of any kind, my understanding is that you already have access to Lightroom Classic. You just need to download it. So yeah. Let me know though. Let me know if that's incorrect knowledge. Hey, Christina is buying stuff from me right now. She has bought my lens library. Thank you, Christina, as well as my 200 prompt package. Yeah. So for my Lightroom course, I would prefer if you use Lightroom Classic. All of the lesson videos will be in Lightroom Classic, but you can use Lightroom web version. Let's go ahead and open up Lightroom web version. Hold on, y'all. So that I can sort of explain to you, like the tools are there. They will just look a lot different than the tools in the lessons. Okay, so let me share my screen. Right now we are in the Lightroom web version. This is probably what some of you guys are familiar with. So here's our tools panel. So this is like our, ew, what the heck is this? I don't like this. Let's go in here. Oh, presets, no. Basic. What is this? Here we go. Okay, so looking at this side by side. Okay, go away. All right, so this is, they call this the edit panel. This is basically this panel. So you can see we have exposure, contrast, highlights, shadows, the option to change it to black and white, texture, vibrance. Now looking at the web version, exposure, contrast, here's our option for black and white. And then it goes into color mixer, point color, color grading. Looking at Lightroom Classic, color mixer, color grading. So the tools are there, they just look different, right? And then I also want to just point out really quick, guys, that so some of the subtle differences is tone curve, right? Let's look at Lightroom Mobile. Where is it? Where is Lightroom Mobile? Okay, here it is. So when we look at Lightroom Mobile and we open up the tone curve. Where's the tone curve? Here it is. So let's compare these side by side. Let me move this over here like this. Okay. So, oops, let me close this. Am I not in solo mode? I want to be in solo mode. Ah! Okay. So here's it's called point curve in Lightroom Mobile, but in Lightroom Classic, it's called tone curve. So you can see that here is the parametric curve. Here is the parametric curve. And then you can see that we also have the point curve, and this is the point curve. So what are the differences? So right now, I'm in the parametric curve over here on Lightroom Classic, and I'm also in the parametric curve over here in Lightroom Mobile. In Lightroom Classic, I have these sliders. In Lightroom web version or mobile version, I do not have these sliders. So the tools are there. They're just, a few of them in Lightroom Classic are a little bit better. Another really good example of this is the lens corrections. So in the course, where is lens corrections? Hold on, guys. Oh, it's down here. Let me collapse some of this. Okay. In the course, we come into lens corrections and we come into the manual side and we use all of these tools. Unfortunately, in the mobile version, oh, sorry, you guys are looking at the very bottom, but let me bring this up. So in the mobile version, all you have access to is remove chromatic aberration, and that's all you can do. In Lightroom Classic, you can do this manually with this little dropper tool, and this is what I teach you to do in the course because this checkbox doesn't do anything. It literally does like nothing. So you always have to manually correct that. So you can totally use Lightroom Mobile, but there's going to be 1 or 2 lessons that you can't do. But for the most part, you can do everything. Other than that, that's all you need. For the Mastering Manual Mode course, the photography course, all you need is a camera. Doesn't matter if it's crop frame, full frame, mirrorless, DSLR, doesn't matter. I'm still here, Katie. Yeah, I do need to jump off though. It has been over 2 hours, hasn't it? Okay, let me close Lightroom for now. Oh, well, let's look at our before and after. Let's look at our before and after. So let me close this panel. And here is our before and after. So we have before on the left, after on the right. This is just what we did during this live. So, you know, we would probably edit it different another day. Oh my gosh, Katie, that's so crazy. That tells you definitely how long we've been here. That's amazing. Yeah, so that's us wrapped up with that editing. Okay, let me quit Lightroom Classic. And someone asked if I ever use presets. Not really, no. I have like 200 presets because when I was a beginner, I bought a lot of presets. I bought all kinds of presets. I bought dark and moody presets. I bought pretty presets. I bought sun flares and overlays and all kinds. I have so many. Nowadays, I don't use them very much anymore. If I do use I have a lot of presets that I've created myself just to make the workflow a little bit shorter. And I do teach you how to make your own presets in the course. And I'm confident that you should, if you chose to take a Lightroom course, you probably wouldn't use presets yourself either. Not that there's anything wrong with presets, because there are some fantastically super creative photographers out there who they're so skilled and they have such creativity. So there's nothing wrong with presets at all. If I do use a preset, I am usually adding a sun flare. That's kind of like my go-to. Now let me zoom out a little bit here, make this a little bit bigger. Christina enrolled in the photography fast track. Thank you, Christina. Welcome, welcome, my darling dear. Hey, tremendous, my friend. How you been? How much is my Lightroom course? My Lightroom course, there's 2 options. There's a pay in full option, or there is a 3-month payment plan. The Lightroom course is $200, or you can do 3 monthly payments of $75. Andrew, like I said, there's nothing wrong with using presets. There's nothing wrong with it, but I want you to believe in yourself that you can achieve a preset look on your own as well. I don't use the lens blur feature on Lightroom very often. I am using OBS to record on TikTok. Plus the Restream website. Because when I go live on TikTok from my phone, my service is really bad and it's glitchy the whole time and it sucks and it makes me really frustrated. So I have just been using OBS, and then I can stream from my desktop, and the service seems to be much better. Plus I can share my screen and we can edit photos together and stuff. So that's really, really helpful. Okay, so let's see. Any recommendations or tips? Brooke just got the Canon Rebel T7 with a 50mm lens. Do I have any recommendations or tips? Anything that I speak about photography, Brooke, is applicable to you and that camera. So, my tips specifically for this camera would to be take photos outside or in very well lit environments. Crop sensors, they'll get really noisy, grainy images when you're indoors. So set yourself up for success and go outdoors. But anything else that I talk about on my TikTok channel or my YouTube or my Instagram or in my courses or my free downloads, please go download the manual mode settings cheat sheet or the Aperture priority mode guide right here on my website, totally free. And all of this will apply to you and this camera that you're using. I do not use a tripod. So Aced is asking the difference between a tripod and a monopod. And I think you even asked about sports earlier. So the only difference here is the tripod has 3 legs and the monopod has 1 leg. A lot of sports photographers prefer a monopod because it's a lot more like portable and easy to move around. So with a tripod, you have to pick it up with both hands and move it around and turn it and blah, blah, blah. You can't like swivel your camera because there's 3 legs. A monopod, you can swivel your so a monopod allows you to not have to carry your camera if you're using a big lens. This is really great, sports, wildlife, because it's very heavy. So the monopod allows you to put your camera on it and you can swivel as the action goes on because there's only 1 leg and it's easier to sort of drag up and down a playing field or something like that. A tripod is a little bit more bulky and cumbersome and you can't swivel. Does OBS connect with TikTok or do I use Twitch? I don't know anything about I don't know anything about Twitch, and also I'm not super tech savvy, but I found a tutorial on YouTube. I use OBS to stream, and I stream to a website called Restream, and I got a streaming key from TikTok and I plugged it into Restream, and Restream sends me over to TikTok. That's my layman's explanation of something that I don't understand clearly. That's how I do it for live, yeah. I wish I could just download the TikTok Studio. I would do that if I had a Windows computer, but I don't. I have a Mac, and TikTok Live Studio doesn't exist for Mac computers, so it's a bit of a mess, isn't it? Let's see. Would I recommend that you use flash with the Canon T7 outdoors? No, especially for beginners. So I do not recommend trying to use flash until you understand like the exposure triangle at minimum, right? So I would only introduce flash once you understand how to achieve exposure without flash, right? So I do not recommend it, no. That's also comes down to personal preference. Really quick though, you guys, we have 40,000 likes, which is a tremendous amount of likes. I don't know if I've ever had that many likes before, so thank you all very much for that. That's so cool. Thank you guys so much. You guys are really just out here making my head this big, okay? You're making me so cocky and confident. Okay, more questions. Yeah, it's a really good tutorial though on YouTube. If you Google like stream live TikTok on a Mac, I don't remember the tutorial that I watched, but it had like tons of views. I think it's the very first one that comes up. What are my thoughts on zoom lenses versus prime lenses? Yo, thank you for asking. So, listen, Linda, I prefer prime lenses. Is that because I only used prime lenses for like 5 or 6 years? Probably. I did not own a zoom lens until about 2 or 3 months ago. Why did I invest in prime lenses first? Because they're less expensive. So I primarily got prime lenses because from early on in my not career, but in my journey of learning photography, I very early understood what aperture is and how it affects my photo. And I was attracted to prime lenses because they were less expensive and they had wider aperture capabilities. So I got prime lenses. First I got a 50 millimeter, then I got a 35 millimeter, then I got an 85 millimeter. And I am also just a very like loud, active person also. So I enjoy moving around and getting closer and getting farther away and just being all over the place. So I had the 50, then I had the 35, then I had the 85, then I got a mirrorless camera. So I got the adapter, continued to use my DSLR prime lenses on my mirrorless Z7 II. Then I purchased the 105, and it's my favorite lens. It's a beautiful portrait lens, as you can tell. I'm a portrait photographer. And then I purchased the 2470. And I have been forcing myself to use the 2470 to open up my mind to zoom lenses. If you are a beginner, I recommend only using primes. I recommend getting a prime lens first. What so many beginners don't know about a zoom lens is that if you are, like if you're using the 2470, if you are at like 35 millimeters and you got a whole family in the frame, right? You've got a nice big focus area. When you zoom in all the way to 70 to like zoom in on mom and dad, like maybe dad's hugging mom from behind, you zoom in, your focus area shrinks so incredibly shallow that if you focus on mom, dad is going to be blurry. So many beginners don't know that as your focal length changes, so does your focused area of your photo. So that's why I recommend prime lenses for beginners, but there's nothing wrong with zoom lenses. I've been using the 2470 every weekend at my son's swim meets. I actually wish I had like a 70 to 200, but I don't. Maybe I'll start using the 105 there, but I can't remember. I mean, I can't decide. Okay, talking about flash, can you show us step by step how to set it up on the Nikon Z5? So you have to get a speed light or something like that. I can't show you today because my flash is dead. Does this camera have a pop-up flash? It doesn't, right? No, I don't think it does. I can't show you today, my friend, but I have an entire playlist on it. So Gigi, was it Gigi who asked? No, it wasn't Gigi. Who was it? Oh, frick. Who was that? It was Gigi. Yes, it was Gigi. I can't show you today because my flash is dead and we're coming to the end of the live, but I have an entire playlist right here on my TikTok channel called Flash. So go check those out. It's all about how to use a speed light, using it with a diffuser, bouncing it off of a wall. So go check that out. And I think you'll really like it. Do I think that because you are converting your camera body to an R6 Mark II, the quality is going to be better? Depends on what you're upgrading from. The answer is probably yes, especially if you're going from like a crop frame DSLR, for sure. Zoom lenses are really great for landscape, yeah, or just a wide angle lens in general, a prime wide angle lens, yeah. How can you read what size your lens is? For sure. So Priscilla, just in case you're interested, my friend, I do have a $10 guide on my website called the Lens Library, and it teaches you literally everything about lenses, what kind you should get, how to read the numbers and the letters and the aperture ranges and all of that. So it's only $10 and you get access to my student community, which is invaluable. But so this number right here, 85/1.8, that means that this is a fixed focal length. 85. It does not zoom in, it does not zoom out, it stays at 85 millimeters. And the 1.8 means that the aperture can go all the way down to 1.8. It can also go all the way up to f16 or maybe f22, but I don't think so. F5.6, f8, but it goes as low as f1.8. Now, if you look at a zoom lens, like this one here, we have 24-70. This means that we can zoom out to 24 millimeters, or we can zoom all the way in to 70 millimeters. And then it has /2.8. This means that the aperture on this lens will go all the way down to f2.8, but it won't go lower than that. So this lens can go to 1.8. This one cannot. It can only go down to 2.8. And then if you're a beginner, the lens that you probably have is a lens like this one. So this one says 16-50. So we know now that that means you can zoom out to 16 or you can zoom all the way into 50. But then it has two numbers here. It has 3.5 to 6.3. I have videos about this in my playlist, All Things Lenses, here on TikTok. You can go watch those videos for free. And sorry, I got distracted. So what this means is when you are zoomed out to 16 millimeters, the aperture can go as low as f3.5. But if you zoom in all the way to 50, your lowest aperture, which means your maximum aperture, is going to change without you having a choice about it. And the lowest will then be 6.3. Where do I think is the most affordable place to buy cameras online? I buy used cameras and I go to mpb.com. So if you go to my website right here, nancysmiley.com, if you want to support me without having to buy any of my courses or anything, you can buy your gear from mpb.com. It's right on my homepage, and if you go through that link, the cameras don't cost anything extra, I promise, but I'll get about 3% of your purchase. Just being totally transparent with you guys. So far, I've made $29 whole. So I've made $29 off of that. So it's not like I'm raking in thousands. But yeah, it's right there on my home page. And I also, right next to that, I have my Amazon recommendations as well. My favorite flashes, my favorite memory cards, my favorite cameras, Sony, Canon, Nikon. So all of that is on my website as well. Have I used the 70-300 and what do you use it most on? I have not ever used a 70-300. I don't have that lens. I wish I did, because right now I'm doing my son's swim team meets every weekend and I'm using the 24-70 so that I can zoom way out and get like team photos, and then I can zoom in and I can get action shots of them swimming and stuff like that. So a 70-300 is usually used for situations like that. So situations where you need a versatile, you're going to be capturing a lot of stuff. So an example would be wildlife. It allows you to zoom up close on animals that are very far away, and then you can zoom out and get a beautiful landscape image. Sports photography. You can zoom out and get images of the whole field, of the whole team, but then you can zoom in and get action shots of the players on the field. Now, you can also use, it's very versatile. You can use a 70-300 for portraits as well. And it's very zoomed in, so you do have to stand quite far away from your subject. But the background blur on a hyperfocal length lens like that, like 200 millimeters, is so much richer than the background blur on like a 50 millimeter lens. So that's just a couple examples, but really you could use it for quite a few things. Quite a few things. Great, let me get back to the comments here. So Deanna is saying that she's using the R50, she's doing a rodeo, and she's keeping her shutter at 1/1000. But when I change my aperture, my shutter blank. She's probably going to say her shutter changes, maybe. Are you in shutter priority mode, Deanna, or are you in aperture priority mode? On a Canon, shutter priority is TV on the little dial. Aperture priority mode is AV. Or are you in, oh, you're in manual. So if you're in manual, your aperture and your shutter will not change unless you change them. Your ISO might, because there is a option to put into auto ISO. But when you are in manual, your aperture and your shutter will not change. Now, what might happen if you have a zoom lens, when you zoom in, your aperture might change, but it won't change your shutter speed. Your shutter speed will not change if you're in manual unless you change the shutter yourself. So you do have a zoom lens. Can you tell me which lens you have, Deanna? So I can understand if your aperture is changing, but it shouldn't change your shutter speed. Hey, Labraziana. Hey friend, I go live. I try every weekday at around 11 o'clock Eastern time. Sometimes I miss a day if I get really busy. It's summer vacation for my kids, so it's a little bit crazy. Okay, so so you're using the 100 to 400 millimeter lens. So this means that when you are at 100 millimeters, so zoomed out, you can put your aperture down to 4.5. If you zoom in to 400, your aperture will forcibly increase to 6.3. So what's that going to do to your images? It's going to make them darker, because for those who are beginners and don't know, when our aperture number changes, this hole opens and closes. So this is probably so this could represent 4.5. As you zoom in and your aperture goes to 5.6, this closes a little bit. And when it closes, your image gets darker. So you might need to brighten your image. You can do that two ways. Lower shutter speed, but you're at a rodeo. You don't want to do that. So you'll have to increase your ISO, my friend. Andy, thank you so much. Let's see, you have it on 7.1. So if you have your aperture on 7.1, it won't change when you zoom because you are over that maximum aperture. But I would bring that down a little bit because that'll allow more light into your photo, which will be less grain and stuff like that. Bryson, hello. And Andy, thank you. Thank you so much for being here, my darling. Andy is hyping me up today. Let's see. What camera do I use? I primarily use a Nikon Z7 II. It's a mirrorless full frame camera. And also, Awa is asking about tips for a wedding. So I get asked this a lot. There's so much that goes into a wedding day. I need a little bit more specification on what you need tips for. I should make a wedding playlist, honestly, because a lot of people have wedding questions, which is understandable. Yo, my baby has been asleep for a long time, for 2.5 hours. Clark, have you had lunch, babes? What did you eat when you got home from swim? Okay, can you have a peanut butter jelly? Okay. Or do you want me to make you a pizza? Okay, he wants a pizza. All right, guys, it's time for me to hop off. I've been live for at least 2.5 hours, so I'm going to jump off. I'm going to go hang out. My daughter's still napping, but my son needs lunch. The dishes need to be done, the laundry. We maybe want to go to the zoo today. Um, so I'm gonna hop off. So Ayua, I'm sorry I didn't get to your question, my friend, but if you want, you can go. You can send me a DM. I'm kind of bad about answering my DMs. It would be better for you to comment on one of my videos. um, so Katie, you're so sweet. I know I got some Costco pizzas. I'm gonna go bake a Costco pizza. So I won't see you guys again until Monday because the weekend is here, my friend, and we are gonna go have some fun. Like I said, anybody who filled out this contact form right here, it says Service Plus. If you want to take one of my courses, fill this out right now because I'm about to turn off the live. Put in your email address and I will email you a 10% off code for my course. Just disclaimer, my email will very, very likely go into your promotions folder. So it might not go into your main inbox. So if you don't see it, you can just search Nancy Smiley in your inbox, or you can go to your promotions tab and that's where it will be. Please check out nancysmiley.com, everybody. This is where all my free resources are. I've been pouring my heart and soul into my blog lately. So go read the blog. I would really love that. I have my most recent blog is really good. It talks about mirrorless versus DSLR, and I give you my favorite camera suggestions for these types of cameras. So go check that out. Go read about the courses. Go take photos today. Pick up your camera, go on a little camera date, go strolling down the sidewalk and take some images. And I will see you all again on Monday. I will post videos over the weekend. If it kills me, I will do it. Okay, guys, I am signing off. I have to remember how to do it. I'll see you later. Bye.